Hello, welcome to episode 254 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 27th of July. So welcome everybody. I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share the last 2 weeks worth of crafty goodness that I've been up to. So today we have some knitting, some crochet, some sewing, which is a dressmaking item. I have some confessions. I bought some new things, oh dear. I have some information on my shop update, and also there's some news in that section as well about the meetup and other bits and bobs. And last but not least, there's a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast wearing something hand knitted. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? I have a finished object, and this is a sample that's been knitted by my mother-in-law Liz, and it's out of some yarns from earlier this year yarn clubs. So this is from the Music from the Movies yarn clubs from May and June, and these two colourways, if I go closer up to the camera, this one here is called Batdance, from the film Batman, one of the 90s films, and then you've got I Get Around from The Flight of the Navigator. So that's two of the movies for this year. I wanted Liz to knit a sample up for me in a sort of style that's in a bit different from the samples that she's done from this year's other yarn clubs. But I thought this was absolutely gorgeous. I thought I'd give Liz a challenge. As she says to me, she likes things that are sort of patterned. It's got lots of lace in it. It's got brioche. And it's also got beading, if you look really closely. So I get closer to the camera. What I will do is I will put this on the table once I finish talking about it, and sweep over it so you can see it, the lace a bit better, because when there's background behind it you can't see the lace very well. But there's lots of different sections which keeps you interested, and actually you can run the yarn up the side of the shawl, so you only have about 4 ends to sew in, which is absolutely brilliant. And I've actually forgot to trim them, but I have sewn them in. I'll have to give those a snip afterwards. So I tend to sew my ends in, block it, and then I'll snip the ends off, which I've forgotten to do. But isn't that gorgeous? This is the Protea Shawl by Hayley, Tsang, Sather. I hopefully pronounced that correctly. I will pop a link to it in the description bar down below so you can see exactly what the pattern, so you can see exactly where the pattern's from. But isn't that lovely? Really pleased with how that's come out. This is obviously slightly more challenging because it's got the beadwork and the brioche and the lace in, but Liz had never done any beading before and she found it really easy, so it's always nice to challenge yourself. And there's not actually that much increases decreases in the brioche section, it's just at the sides, so the majority of it is just straight brioche, which is handy. And it's got some interesting details in the centre there and further down in the centre here. I will show you what it looks like on. So you can't get hold of these colourways anymore because they were part of this year's yarn clubs, but I may be releasing them in the future, so watch out, maybe next year, I don't know. But I love this shawl. I love how there's all these peaks around the edges. You can block it slightly differently. If you look at some of the photographs on the Ravelry pages, there's people that have spread this out in the centre, but I liked the one that had little points on it. I thought that looked really nice, but isn't that gorgeous? This is obviously a fingering weight shawl, and the yarn base that I chose for this one was a luxury MCN base with merino, cashmere and nylon, so it's extra soft and squishy. The MCN is a little bit more plump than a standard fingering as well, so it just feels absolutely gorgeous. I'll pop it on the table and scan over it so that you can see the lace a little bit better on a flat surface when you've got the table behind it, so you can see the details a little bit better. So that is the first thing I've got to show you, and thank you so much to Liz for knitting this sample. Really, I did block it at the end, but she did all the hard work of all those stitches. So the next thing I've got is whips, and on my needles are the Contrast Blast socks by Stephen West, and this is the mystery surprise sock along that's going on at the moment. Clue 4 has just come out today, but I've only finished clue 3. If you do not want to see this clue, I will leave a timestamp on the screen so you can skip along to the next thing, so you don't get spoilers. But I am going to show it now, so watch out. I thought I'd show you as well, this is how I've been keeping my socks. Because I've got the yarn split for the 2 colours for 2 socks. I've been popping the yarn when I've finished on working on one inside the socks so they don't get all tangled up inside my bag. So they do look rather strange at the moment. I haven't split them very evenly, so this one's a little bit smaller than this one. Oh dear. I'll put them on sock blockers so you can see them a little bit better. So these are my Contrast Blast socks. Like I said, I've just got to the end of clue 3. I'm doing the 2 socks at the same time so that I've got a nice finished pair at the end of the mystery sock along. I really like the pattern, it looks gorgeous. I chose size 3, which starts with 84 stitches on the leg, which is more than I normally would, but I don't normally knit my socks on 2.25mm needles. They fit really well around the leg. I must say though that I continued following size 3 for the heel flap and gusset, and I think that around this bit here it still seems quite baggy around the foot, so I continued with the decreases right up until the end of this clue. So for size 3, the last I think 8 rows you don't need to do any decreases on according to the pattern, but I've kept decreasing them so that they're down to the next size down. In terms of stitch count anyway, but because I've done the decreases on the lower part of the foot, I'm going to have to knit the sort of pattern instructions for the 84 stitch size 3 on the top, and then I just have a smaller stitch count on the bottom, if that makes sense, so that it flows nicely. But I must admit that it does come out a little bit baggy round there just because of the sort of way that he's used the stitches and done so many and picked up so many stitches around the heel flap. So on the one side of the heel flap, the pickup wasn't quite as neat on this side compared to this side, which is really nice and neat. So I don't know whether I've made a mistake following Stephen's instructions or whether one size just tends to be a little bit less neat the way he does it. But the overall effect of the socks I think is fabulous. I've snuck a sneaky peek at clue 4 this morning, and I'm excited to get these finished. Hopefully finished by next week, and I'll post a picture on Instagram with those. Next week I'm not going to do a podcast because we are away. I will have a video about tips of knitting in the dark, or not without looking anyway. So next week I'll pop a progress picture of these on my Instagram page, so if you're desperate to see them finished you'll be able to see those on my Instagram. And Craft House Magic is on Instagram as well, and I'll pop links to my social media in the description bar down below. But how cute is that pattern? There is a cable down the side of the foot on both sides, and it does look a little bit sort of scrunched up there at the moment, but Stephen does say with blocking that'll even out, and maybe that'll make it sort of a bit more snug around the leg once those stitches have relaxed in the cable section. But we shall see. We've basically got this same pattern just as you're doing the decreases as well with that cable, so that was fun to be able to carry on with that zigzag pattern, which I really liked. I really like the heel flap as well. That's a really pretty stitch detail. Colourways I'm using are called Paradise, and I dyed these up specifically to knit my Stephen West mystery or surprise sock along with. And I'm really glad I had a go at this. It is so much fun finding out what the next clue is. I will be participating in the autumn mystery shawl along as well that he always does, because it is always loads of fun. And I will dye up some colours for those as well once he gives the idea of what sort of how many colours you're using and how many skeins of each. I can sort of set that up in the shop. I did want to mention as well that because I did knit my leg a bit shorter here, the actual stitch pattern didn't match up with the size 3 stitch pattern for the front of the foot, so I basically just continued with the pattern that I'd been doing up here it was pretty easy to work out though, but I know that Stephen's instructions are very detailed about what you had to do for the top of the foot, but I just basically ignored all those instructions, worked out how many repeats I needed to do, and carried on with pattern so that it flowed on with the pattern further up the leg. I thought it was a bit overzealous with the instructions for this section, but it is written for sort of beginners as well, so I can understand why he's done that. But I watched the video, saw that he was just continuing in this pattern on the top of the foot, and I just carried on in pattern rather than following the instructions because they would have been incorrect. I did only 5 repeats of this section. So there we go, that's my Stephen West. Right, so that is what I've been working on, but my lovely mother-in-law Liz has also started off a top for me, which I'm going to carry on knitting now. So everybody on earth has knitted the Tegna, or Tegna, I think it's pronounced Tegna anyway, by Caitlin Hunter, and I thought actually it might be nice to have a sample in one of my new colourways. So this is the I Have Nothing colourway that is new in my shop. This is the Tegna top. This looks a little bit short, but I've actually tried it on and it isn't far off the length that I wanted it. But I know that merino stretches quite a bit when you block it, so I can stretch that an inch or 2 down. I wanted it so that it comes just to the top of my jeans, and I did actually get Liz to knit a smaller size for the body compared to what sort of pattern suggests, because actually the bottom of the garment is absolutely massive. It's meant to be really oversized, so that is going to be plenty big enough. I just didn't want it to be too big on the shoulders. I have tried it on and it seems to fit nice. It just comes up a little bit short, but with blocking I think that'll be the perfect length. So this is knitted with just 2 skeins of yarn in my size anyway. I think it was the medium that I got Liz to knit, and all I've got to do now is pick up stitches around the neck and do the neckline, and then I'm going to pick up stitches and just do ribbing around the arms because I don't like a very long sleeve. I'm just going to do some ribbing so that it'll be a nice little short sleeve top. I'll show you up close the lovely lace. Isn't that gorgeous? Liz said she really enjoyed knitting the lacy section especially. So I don't know why I didn't knit it sooner. I think it's just because I had too much on my list. But I absolutely love it so far. So I'm hoping by the next episode to have this completely knitted. This looks really short on camera, but it doesn't look so short on me, trust me. If I stand up, you'll be able to see that it does go to my hips, so if I stretch it down just an inch or 2, I think that will be the perfect height. I think I've made a mistake in the past about knitting things too long because the merino stretches, and also too wide around the shoulders as well. Because I've got quite narrow shoulders compared to the rest of me as well, so it's good to have the shoulders knitted nice and snug, and then especially with something like this which has got a lot of stitches on the bottom, I can then block it out and stretch it to the shape I want it. So I will show you exactly how it comes out on the next episode. But I did knit the medium sized top, and my upper bust measures 38 inches and my lower bust is 44 inches now. So that's, I chose it so that it was basically no positive ease on the top, and then actually there will be positive ease around the bottom because I think it's supposed to block out to about 50 or 60 inches, so there's plenty of ease to go around my hips where I'd want it to be slightly looser. I'll talk a bit more in detail about how I've chosen the sizes in the next episode when I've actually got it finished and blocked and I can actually show it to you on. So the next section is crochet, and I have something that's going to be crocheted up for Jensen to show you, but I've only got 3 lengths at the moment to show you. Can you guess what it is? This is going to be a fox, and it's a pattern by Toft. I'll pop a picture on the screen. It's Esme the Fox, and I picked this yarn up from the East Anglia Yarn Festival, and I got a lovely little bag that came with the kit, and I got 2 colours of yarn. I think there was 3 of this fudge colour and 1 of this lighter colour, what's that called, cream, to make the fox. and obviously I've only got 3 legs started with it yet. This is the updated version. This pattern is in Edward's Menagerie, this is in the book, but this is the updated version of the pattern where the fox has actually got slightly bigger ears. I think I'm going to make some modifications to the facial features of the fox because I thought that I might be able to make it look a little bit cuter, but we shall see how I get on with that, because you never know when you're doing faces on things, because they always sort of surprise you and look different to how it works out. So I'm using a 3mm clover and moire hook to crochet this. There are instructions in the pattern to actually work it in a fingering weight yarn, a DK, an Aran and a chunky yarn, but the yarn that I got in the kit was a DK weight. So I shall keep you posted on my progress of my little fox, but at least I've made a reasonable amount of progress on these legs. I haven't even done 3. I've nearly finished the 3rd leg, so I need to work on that one as well. So my next section is sewing. So Barbara, if you'd like to come over. Thank you very much, Barbara. So Barbara is my dressmaking mannequin, and she is going to show you something that I've made. So this is the Gable t-shirt by Jennifer Lauren Handmade, and it's something that I wanted to work on for ages, and it's a nice, easy, quick project, so I can do it in a nap time at the weekend. I was able to basically cut out the pattern on one day and then sew it up on the second. It did take me about 2.5 hours to do it because I was selecting my size and working out what actual size to do. So the Gable pot pattern is a very high neck, sort of slash neck top, which I thought would be ideal if I want to wear it under sort of a dress to sort of cover my arms a little bit. So that's why I wanted to do this pattern, and also it's quite different from the other t-shirts that I've made in the past. This version has short sleeve, but there is a 3/4 length and a full length sleeve with this pattern as well. I did do the short sleeve because I only had 1 metre of this fabric, and I wanted to use use some fabric that wasn't super precious to me to start off with, just to test it, and I only had 1 metre of this one. And actually it's come out really nice. This is a viscose jersey from Rainbow Fabrics, and it feels really, really gorgeous actually now that I've finished it. So I probably will get quite a lot of wear out of it. So when I chose my sizes on this pattern, I ended up doing a 16 on the shoulders. I graded out to a size 20 on the waist and an 18 on the hips. So I just did a line between the sizes, I cut it out so that there's a smooth line. I did a 16 sleeve as well. I tend to not have too big an arm compared to my sort of body measurement. It's my body that's the largest part on my waist and hips really. And I was also able to select the larger cup size on this to allow for a bigger bust, which is brilliant. There was several different options for bust sizes. I think I cut out an F size, which was the largest of those, but actually I think that there is a slightly too much of a dip on the front, but it could be because of this fabric, because it is so drapey. I will show it to you in a minute so you can see what it looks like, but I finished it on my cover stitch machine. I wasn't able to get any sort of inexpensive thread to use on my overlocker and cover stitch machine that was in matching thread, so I just used a grey thread, which I think goes quite nicely. Because it's a viscose jersey, it's a bit of a nightmare to use on the cover stitch, so I wouldn't recommend struggling with viscose jersey on the cover stitch when you haven't used the cover stitch much before. I still find it a pain in the bottom. So thank you very much, Barbara, for showing the top. I just wanted to sort of talk about it while it was on Barbara rather than just holding it up, and I will give you a quick twirl with it on me so you can see how it fits on me. So here is my Gable top on me. Because I've got jeans on, you can sort of see it through because it's quite a drapey viscose, but you can see the fit seems to be quite good around the bust and the hips. The neckline is the only thing that I think I might sort of change. It comes up really, really high. I might just do it so that it goes there, so it lays like nicer on my shoulders. But I think the sleeve seems to fit really nicely. So there is a slight dip on the front, but it may be just to do with the way the fabric is draping. So there we go, that's the Gable t-shirt by Jennifer Lauren Handmade. The pattern actually does say not to stitch the neckline down until you've done the assembly for the rest of the body, so that you can sort of adjust that. But because I was using my cover stitch machine, I just thought, oh, I'll stitch it and then I can always tuck it down if I did decide that I wanted it to be a bit lower. But if you do the full height, it comes up there. I think it's probably due to my posture. If I had a straighter neck, then I'd probably be alright. A slimmer, straighter neck would probably be okay. So now I'm on to my confessions section. Very naughty confessions. Oh dear. Well, only a little bit. So first of all, I've purchased the mending directory, and I have purchased a couple of Sashiko style books to do sort of mending for jeans and things, and I saw this, it come up on my Amazon, and I thought, oh, do you know what, that would be fun, because there is like a page for, there's pages with lots and lots of different designs. But I thought that'd be a nice way to just flick through and think, oh, what should I do on this particular mending project? And there is actually a separate section for knit fabrics at the back, so it shows you how to fix knitting, which is quite interesting. There's lots of different methods there, and then at the front there's all this sort of woven ideas, so this looks like it might be a really useful thing to have a flick through and think, I quite fancy doing that design on a mending project. And I'm into the idea of doing mending jeans at the moment, because Adam often has holes in the knees and everywhere else in the jeans is fine, so I want to do some mending on a few pairs of his jeans. I did start on a pair which I've showed in the past, but I haven't actually got round to finishing them yet. Hopefully I'll get a week where I can spend a few hours working on those soon. So that is by Erin Eggenberg, and it's the mending directory, and I'll pop a link to it in the description bar down below. That's I just purchased from Amazon. So the wholesale suppliers that I have going to be starting to do some wooden crochet hooks, so I've purchased one of those for me to try out, and I thought this looked quite a lot like a Harry Potter wand, so I thought how wonderful would that be. So I'm testing them out just to see how I get on with them before I start selling them, and I can't get hold of them just yet anyway, so it might be a few weeks before they are stocked in the shop, but this is the one that I've purchased to try. I've got a 4mm needle because I thought I'd do another sort of scrappy project, crochet project, to use up leftover yarns. If you think you might be interested in something like this, comment down below so that I know people would be interested to see these in the shop. But I just thought that was gorgeous. Obviously I want to check whether I get on with them first, or whether I think that other people will get on with them, because it is quite chunky, but then I thought it would be nice to sort of grip on the sides. But very, very pretty. So the last thing I've got to show you in my confession section isn't really a confession, because a lovely lady called Christine has sent me some really cute patterns to make Jensen. They are all sort of the big 4 patterns. This is a butterick pattern for like a little baby jumpsuit, and it's got a really cute little hat as well, which could be useful to make. There is a little romper suit. How cute is that? And I love all the frills on there. Maybe I shall have to make some with frills for Jensen. He'd love that, wouldn't he? And there's a really cute little cap and a hat as well. I'd definitely have a go at one of these hats as well. How cute is this little shirt? Really cute little shirt, trousers and shorts. Definitely have a go at those. And then this is really cool because you have a little organiser to go on the back of a pushchair, and then a bib as well. And then there's other things like a little swaddle, a little mat to go on the high chair, and a little sort of a quilt to go on the floor. I have already made a couple of quilts for the floor, so I probably wouldn't make that, but the bib and the pushchair tidy thing would be really useful. And this one, it's like Christine was reading my mind, because I want to make him a dressing gown, because in the cooler months that'll be nice to sort of cozy up once he's got into his pyjamas, but that will be really useful. So thank you so much, Christine. That was really lovely of you to send those to us. And I will definitely be sewing some of these in the coming months. What I will do is I will try and see if there's links to these patterns online if you do want, if you want to find them as well, and I'll pop the links in the description bar down below. But some of those will be really useful. Thank you. So my next section is sort of news and shop update. So I wanted to talk about a couple of the things that are going on at the moment. So we've got Barbara's Day out on Sunday the 30th of July. That's this coming Sunday, and it'll be at Dunstan Hall in the Terrace Bar at 2 p.m. I will leave written instructions for the meetup in the description bar down below, and I've also popped on Instagram a post with the details in, so if you want to check where it was, you can have a look on there. It's a picture of the last meetup, so you'll be able to sort of locate it on my board, on my wall. So it'd be lovely to see you. You don't need to book a place, just turn up. Last time I think we had about 10 people, so it was so nice for everyone to have a chat and catch up on all things nitty and crafty. We've got a couple of make-alongs going on in the Ravelry group and on Instagram at the moment. Those are craft 20 a day, and it's just working away at those bigger projects a little bit every day. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It's just sort of the idea of doing a little bit each day. And we've got the summer sock along going on, and that'll run until the end of August. The craft 20 a day goes all year, so you've got all the time to do that. The summer sock along, if you're doing the Stephen West mystery sock along, come and join in as well. Double dipping, that's absolutely allowed in all my make alongs. You can use the hashtags on Instagram, or you can come along to the Ravelry groups for those. So I've also uploaded a new video onto my Family House Magic channel, and that's when we visited Bridgnorth. So if you want to check that out, that's sort of not crafty related, although actually there is a little bit of craft in this one, because when we were in Bridgnorth we went to an antique shop, and there's a little bit of footage of an antique shop where they had quite a lot of sort of craft related things in, so there is a bit of craft in that video. Last week I uploaded a few videos onto this channel. I did a video on our visit to Blickling Hall, which we had a private tour of some of the textiles that are not actually shown to the public normally, so that was a real privilege. So I was able to video that to show you guys what it was like. So I do recommend, if you like sort of old buildings and textiles, to have a look at that, because the textiles was absolutely amazing. The amount of work that must have gone into those pieces was fantastic. I also put up 2 videos on how I made my trifold sewing case, so that's separate to the English paper piecing video that I did. I did instructions part 1 and part 2 on how to make the trifold sewing case, and it basically goes through the construction of the panels, putting those together in part 1, and then in part 2 I'm putting all these sort of felt pieces together and the little pockets inside. So I separated that into 2 parts just to make it easier for you to find, and otherwise it's quite a long video. Part 2 also shows how to put the button and the elastic on as well, to close that case up. So I'll pop links to those videos in the description bar down below. Next week, again, I'm not doing a proper podcast video. We are away for a couple of days, so just to put the stress off me, I'll do a little tutorial video, and it's going to be on tips on how to knit in the dark, or where you have low light so you can't see very well. So those are some tips that I get on with. So because I can knit when I go to the cinema, or if I'm watching a film in low light, or car knitting as well late at night, and those are some tips that I like to follow. So that video will go up next week. So now I'm on to the actual shop update stuff. So there will be an update on some opal yarns this week, this Friday at 7 p.m. GMT. So these are the new colourways from Opal in the Rainforest collection. This is the newest collection that they've got, and they're all different named after the names of these different creatures, but they're actually named after their first names. This one's called Anna, Albert, that was called Frau Schmidt, Willibald. This one is Break Supervisor, Francis, Hannah and John. But you can see the creatures that have inspired them on the actual ball bands. But there's some really gorgeous colours there. So those yarns will be in the shop tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT. The August yarn clubs are already in the shop. I'll pop a link to those in the description bar down below. So that's the music from the movies, action adventure edition, and also the mixtape minis for the mini sets as well. And they're available in a range of bases in different size skeins as well. Now, I'm very excited. The 1st of August is where the yarn advent calendars for this year are. It's your last opportunity to pre-order them. They're going to be available in all my normal bases. That's Merino, Stellina, BFL, and then Merino DK. But I'm also going to be offering a Highland wool non-superwash version, so that you can choose that as well. So my bases are available on 20 grams, and some of them available on 10 grams as well. But you can choose between the 12-day and 24-day advent. So there are a lot of choices. So you can pop over to the website and there's several drop-down boxes and you can choose which of those sort of choices you want. So 12 or 24 days, the different yarn bases, and then the size of actual mini you want as well. So the yarn advent calendar is basically 12 or 24 minis, and they're all wrapped up individually with some little extras. So this year I will be including a little drawstring bag. It won't be handmade, but it will be printed especially for this advent. So it will be a special bag just for this advent, won't be available anywhere else. And there will be some little extras that haven't been in the advent before, so it's going to be a little bit more special this year, I think. So this year's advent theme is Rockin' Robin. So Rockin' Robin is to do with the sort of packaging idea of the colours and the style and the little extras, but the actual colourways aren't all just inspired by the picture that I've got for the Rockin' Robin for the actual advent. But if you get the sock set and project bag set that the Rockin' Robin theme, those colours on that picture are the sort of inspiration for the yarn and the bag as well. So you get an idea of what that's going to be. For the yarn advent, those colours are sort of mid-tones and lighter colours, but they're a surprise. I was thinking, if people ask me actually if they want to see a sort of colour scheme for those, I will pop one up on Instagram as like the 3rd photo, so there's no chance that people want it as a complete surprise. Will swipe onto it accidentally. They are mid-tones and lighter colours though, and they're all designed to go together in the for the shawl pattern that is with the actual advent as well. So the advent calendar comes with little extras, a drawstring bag, it's a non-handmade drawstring bag, and also a shawl pattern. The project bag and yarn set that's in the same theme, Rockin' Robin, will have a sock pattern with it, which will be the Rockin' Robin sock pattern, and obviously you'll have the yarn and the project bag, but there'll be some little stitch markers in there as well. So lots of extras in those. It will be your last chance to purchase the yarn advent calendars and project bag and sock sets in August, so I will leave the listing open for a couple of weeks or until they've all sold out. The yarn is actually faded but in groups of 3, so you get 3 of a sort of similar colour set and then it fades, and there's 8 sort of major colours in the whole 24-day advent. If you buy a 12-day advent you'd get the first 12 days, if you buy the 24 you get the full set, and the yarn sort of blends from one to another. So in groups of 3 they're sort of in a colour set, but then they blend into each other. So I will pop a picture on the screen of some previous advents from previous years. Obviously these colours will be different, but they're the same sort of mid to lighter tones, so you get an idea what they'll look like. But they will be new colourways and they'll all be named after songs. So each day in the advent you'll have a song title which goes with the yarn, and each of those songs won't necessarily be Christmassy, so you'll have to wait and see what those are. So I think that's all for today. Just over to you now, Jensen, with his little cardigan. So Jensen's got his Playdate cardigan on, a tin can knits pattern. We did brush his hair this morning, it just goes crazy, doesn't it? Where are you going? Are you got all shy? You gonna do a twirl for mummy? Thank you. You doing a twirl? This cardigan, I think he'll probably grown out of it by next summer, so I thought I'd show you it on him. It's a nice little cardi just to keep the cold off. It's just in fingering weight yarn, and I just did some bear embroidery on the pocket. Are you going to show us the pocket, Jensen? Show me the pocket. Are you going to show me your pocket?
Show Mummy your pocket.
He's too busy drinking his drink, but you can see the little bear on his pocket just there. Thank you very much, Jensen. Bye bye. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next episode. Bye.